So let's think a little bit about this third subject of this section of the course, and really it's the third thing that Moore thinks follows or does not follow from the admission that all of the assertions that he made in the beginning of the lecture were contingent. And this has to do with certainty. What he wants to say is that by admitting that all the things that he says are true might have been false, that is, they're contradictories. What I've been calling are contraries, and he calls them contradictories. That their contradictories are not themselves self-contradictory, and therefore contingent. It does not follow from that that he cannot be certain of any of them. And what follows then is a rather long and some readers may say overlong analysis of the use of the word certainty. The first thing he does is respond to some possible objections here. That he has said that if I say I know I am sitting down, then I have also said I am certain that I am sitting down. That is, that by saying that I know that I'm sitting down, I also logically imply that I am certain that I am sitting down. Or if I say I am sitting down, I have also logically implied it is certain that I am sitting down. And that's an important distinction we'll see later on in this section. The first objection that he responds to is the objection that, well, okay, if you're saying that I know and I am certain that, or it is true that and it is certain that mean the same thing, then why do we have differences in the way we express things? I mean, why do we use the word certainty to begin with? It would seem that the existence of that distinction in our language would imply, in fact, that there is a distinction in the world to be made. That is, that some things we know and are true, and some things we know for certain and are certainly true. I think Moore's way of dealing with that is to say, well, okay, there may be such situations in which the distinction is properly made. But it is also true that there are certain situations in which there is no distinction. And these are rather common sense uses of it, central uses of the word I know that, or it is true that, in which it is actually true that if you assert that X is true, you have also asserted that it is certain that X is true. Or if you assert that I know that X, you have also asserted that I am certain that X. So that if I say, for instance, I know I am sitting down right now, if it were not true that I was certain that I was sitting down right now, I wouldn't know that I'm sitting down right now. That is, if I say I am certain that, if I say I know that Barack Obama is President of the United States, if it were also true, if it were true that I am not certain that Barack Obama is President of the United States, then I didn't know it to be true in the first place. That is, to say that something is true is also to say that you are certain that it is true. The second objection that he comes up with, possible objection, is the notion that, again, certainty is something that might be something we want to reserve for necessary truths, or a priori truths, or truths the contrary of which is self-contradictory. And again, I think Moore allows for that. And okay, there may be such a meaning of the word certain. He doesn't specify what it is, in which that distinction might be valid. But there's also a mainstream use of the word certain in which it's not valid. That is, there is at least a use of the word certain with regard to contingent truths, or contingent assertions like the ones that he began with, in which the use of certain is perfectly valid. So that what he's basically arguing against, I think, and I think this is a central point of the essay, is that certainty is not something to be reserved for so-called necessary truths. And finally, in this section, he talks about different uses or types of expression, and this is on page 264. He says there are four main types of expression in which the word certain is commonly used. We may say, I feel certain that, or we may say, I am certain that, or we may say, I know for certain that, or finally we may say, it is certain that. And those four different types of uses or expressions in which the word certain appears have certain important logical differences, Moore says, and that it's important to keep these logical differences in mind. If we think of the first use of it, I feel certain that has different logical implications, or maybe a different logical structure than the last expression, it is certain that. Let me give you an example. If I say, I feel certain that the bus will come at 10 o'clock, and then the bus doesn't come at 10 o'clock, it does not mean that I didn't feel certain that the bus would come at 10 o'clock. What was I saying through my use of certainty there? It was expressing a feeling that I actually felt, maybe a feeling of certainty. And if that thing didn't actually happen that I felt certain about, that does not mean that I didn't feel certain. Now let's compare that with the last expression in which the word certainty is used. It is certain that. If I say, it's certain that the bus will come at 10 o'clock, and then the bus doesn't come at 10 o'clock, then I was wrong. That is, my original statement, it's certain that the bus will come at 10 o'clock, is simply wrong. So in the one case, the bus not coming at 10 o'clock has no effect on the truth of my original statement. I feel certain that the bus will come at 10 o'clock. Yes, I did feel certain. It didn't come, but that didn't mean that I didn't feel certain. If I say it is certain that the bus will come at 10 o'clock, and then the bus doesn't come at 10 o'clock, then my original assertion was simply wrong. That is, it was not certain that the bus would come at 10 o'clock, because it didn't. And what is Moore getting at there? I mean, what's the significance of this discussion? I would say that the significance is to say that there are different uses of the word certainty, and it is important to distinguish between them. There are some times in which we use the word certainty to express a feeling or psychological state, but there are others in which we don't. There are others in which to say it is certain that does not merely express a psychological state. My guess as to what he's really getting at, or maybe what the larger implication of that is that certainty is not merely a feeling. Certainty is not merely a psychological state.